Hey, what's up? My name's Kayn. Today I'm going to show you how I produce my track, Do You Love Me? Let's get it.
And I never wanted to belong, but now you're making me try. Yeah. Then you say that you love me.
I'm not going to do any gatekeeping today. I'm going to show you how I literally did every single sound that I did and how it sounds, how it does today. This is my Logic project. I produce all of my stuff in Logic, so that's why it looks like this. I do sometimes engineer in Pro Tools, but honestly, Logic just makes sense to me. And I've already been sucked into the Apple system, so that's it. But pretty much the main thing that made this song for me is when I actually don't really know how to play the keys. Like if you told me to go to piano and like freestyle, I can't do that. But what I know what sounds good in my ears. A lot of the time people tell me that like something's out of tune or like it doesn't belong in the key, but like I don't actually care about that stuff normally. If it sounds good to me, I trust my intuition. And yeah, with this, they're pretty simple chords. If you ask me what chords I'm playing, I don't know. But yeah, so this sound here, like as soon as I played this, I do a lot of sound design is pretty much everything for me. I try to reduce the amount of sounds that I put in here. If you actually look at this project, there aren't really many major sounds. Yeah, so I don't actually know what chords I'm playing, but I knew that sounded right. And this here is through Omnisphere. At the time, I did buy this. I know that you can. People don't buy it, but honestly, it just makes more sense. It means that when you get a new laptop, you can just get it straight again. And yeah, support the people who made it. But this is called Coral Felts. And yeah, this kind of inspired the whole lyrics of the track. So yeah, there's that. And at the same time, I also there's this pulsing chords from Atoms that's called Point for Point. I do actually really I like this plugin here. It has some really cool sounds. The basses are really nice. But yeah, this one sounds like this. Really just like ambient sounds, but that's what I meant. Like I was seeing someone at the time, so you know, feeling some kind of way, and hence the name of the track. But I wanted it to feel vulnerable. I wanted to feel like it is a question like, do you love me? Because that was, you know, that's how I felt, you know, getting vulnerable in this situation. And yeah, so that's pretty much how the track started, and then it develops. We've got, as I say, we've got the I have got the acapellas here, but I'm gonna show you what it's like without that. And then I had the drums. I like to just every kind of 8/16 bars introduce something new. This here was originally like verbed it, so it sounded a little bit out, but then sounded better like this. I would typically use the actual drum machine in Logic, which isn't as good as FL Studio is definitely, to me, the best way to produce drums. But here we go. I use the Logic drum machine. But for this part here, because I had a reversed snare, which is why it's like the switch as opposed to just like a immediate snare, because I didn't want it to be quite as aggressive for this part. But I also switch it up with a traditional snare. And then we get into the next part, which is, oh, I then introduced the bass, which once again, I love the trillion basses. So if you check this out here, beefy bass as it's called. Let's look at this. Once again, I don't know what notes I'm playing. Typically, I would just use the bottom note of the chord that I played. And let's pull up the plugin and exactly what I used. So we used the Keyscape, the Rhodes Piano Bass Drive 4, and this one just had like a little bit more grit than the other ones. This is like if you're trying to produce a dark R&B like Toronto sound, like this is, a lot of people do use these key basses. So I use this one here, and then just to add a little extra beef to it, I decided to use this. It's this company here, like the Data Life. They have these plugins, and they're so just simple to use. So it's like you've got the fatness, and like for the sake of this, let me show you. So like you can add, and if you look at the fatness, like look at the sausage you get. Like you can really add beef to it, but you don't want to add too much because then it's like, it's gonna clip, all that kind of thing. And I want it to be as much as it's like, do you love me? I didn't want it to be like a distorted, because that then completely changes the feel of the track. I introduced those classic like dark R&B hi-hats. I really loved how the drums came out on this. A mix of, as you can see, like as well, because I was doing the triplets, like I didn't completely use the drum machine designer. But honestly, the best part of this track potentially is you can hear the beef in the bass. And then, so this part to me, the whole point of this was so it felt at the beginning, it's like building up, and it's like, oh, all these emotions are kind of building up with inside in the listener's head. And then this was the release. This was the vulnerable period here. And right here is this lead guitar that, hang on. And it's so simple. It doesn't do much. So if you listen to this track here without this, so that's just like 3 notes. Let's say I mute this here. Look how it just completely, it takes away the magic of this track. It's got nothing, but then, And I learned to play the guitar myself at like 18, 19. Everyone told me I was too late. And I was better than the people that told me I was too late to start now. So that's what happens when you lock in and you want to get something done. This here is it's the Guitar Rig 6. They have some nice little presets in here. It's the Creamy Snowflakes. I did adjust a few of them and take some of the distortion out. But then I added this phase distortion here, which it added to it really nicely. And honestly, a lot of my tracks now, I've saved this preset because I really like the sound, and I use this on quite a few things. I often use reverse guitars with no distortion, but on this track, it didn't suit it, so I didn't. And as you can feel in the vocals, like this part here was just...
If you really love me, you should come and show me. Come and love on me, baby. We can do this fading. Tell me that you love me.
like
You really love me.
this is the part that's like questioning it. It's the most vulnerable part.
Oh, you love on me, baby. I want so long, no one's wrong. You are all my.
The funny part here about this bass, I feel like there's always happy mistakes in music production, and the best things often are these happy mistakes, because I would have never thought of this. But in the second verse, when the pace of the vocals picks up and the songwriting picks up, this beefy bass was actually, I didn't want to have any bass in here, and I'd accidentally left it. And I started from here, like halfway through, so it missed the first part. And with this bass plugin, the first, because the attack's so high, as soon as that first bass note comes in, it really, it hits hard. So like, that was a mistake, obviously, because I've just showed you how to turn up the distortion with that sausage plugin. It's more than it should be, but that wasn't my initial idea. I would never have done that. But then as soon as it happened, I was like, oh wow, like this is incredible. And honestly, in terms of the actual production, this finalizes it. The track does then repeat itself a lot. I then, with the ad libs, you can hear in the second hook. I mean, what's the hook? The thing that I did to actually elevate this, because a lot of the production is the same, I didn't want to add too many more elements. I use my vocals as the additional element. And so it's just a load more ad libs, which is what just elevates the production a little bit. And I remember like this production, these ad libs here, I don't care so much about the quality of the recording. The lead vocal I did record in 412 Studios in Toronto. But these ad libs here, I'm just at home with my TLM, and my mixing engineer will probably hate me because it's like it's not the cleanest sounding vocals. But I remember I did this all in one take, these ad libs, and I was like, wow, this is all I needed to do. And that kind of finalized the song. In terms of the production here, when I took this, I was going to LA, which is the whole reason why I produced this track, because I was like, right, I need to have some stuff going. I often take kind of half-finished songs, and then I take it to my producer, Riley Urick. I'll put his name right here, and how you can see him online. But he removed things, but the main thing that he did, and I remember I was in the studio and I got full-on goosebumps when he did it, which to me is when a track means a lot. And this is the feeling that I chase. Like, this is why I do music, to get these goosebumps. But before I took this to LA, the track didn't have this vibrating part, which is. So to me, as much as a lot of the elements were already finished, the thing that gave this track the real magic that it has for me, and as I say, the thing that gave me the goosebumps, was when Riley, I've recreated it here using the one knob pumper, which is pretty much, you can do this on any system, but this one knob pumper, it side chains everything. So you can see here when I put these all together, that pulsing. And this is pretty consistent in a lot of my music. I love this pulsing kind of feeling. It feels like it's just very vulnerable kind of situation.
Why don't you say why a regular sidechain, why would, like, versus the pumping, you know what I mean?
The one knob.
That could be
Okay, cool. Let me talk about that.
Steal the whole sauce.
So they're trying to steal the sauce, but that's the whole reason why I'm making this video, is so you guys can know how I did it. I'm not trying to gatekeep anything, and I can do these for more tracks if you guys are liking it. But yeah, this one knob pumper here, like, it literally is the same as just side chaining a kick. But to me, just the interface is super, super simple. And it's just easy to add to all of these things. Sometimes the side chaining, one thing that annoys me in Logic, if you have the low latency mode, which I like working in, because if you don't, when you play keys, it's delayed. The side chain doesn't actually happen. So if you have this on, gets rid of that problem. And it's just so much easier to use. You can turn it up instead of having to deal with the whole compression system. You just turn it up and down as much as you want, and it's far easier for me. Thank you, bro. I love this track so much. So I'm happy to show. I'd love to like be able to come to studios more and like explain how I made. Like, this is what I love doing, bro. Like, I'd love to just do this for all my tracks. And yeah, I do want to come back and do that waiting interlude, because I love how you can hear the voice memos. Cause like it's let me plug it in, that my heart, my head, when I do that I was like, oh, and then that just inspired me to keep going. If a song means something to me in a month's time, when I've listened to it, I've listened to this track, Do You Love Me, a million times. I still love this. Like, it means a lot. It takes me back to the moment, and that's when I know that I like a track, and it's when I'm happy to put something out.
I like how you came back. There's no need to explain it. so good to me.